Assalamualaikum, my name is Tuan Naswa binti Baharuk. I want to present Scenario 1. Scenario 1 is a factor that affects supply of a product. Government decisions usually affect the supply, especially if its decisions are about taxes and tariff on goods. As a means of generating money, taxes are sometimes imposed by government to prohibit the importation of commodities. By shifting the supply curve right, we can defeat this increase in demand. Equilibrium pricing will drop together with the rule of supply and demand in order to encourage more people to acquire these things. The Malaysian government has decided to reduce tariff on import coffee. This will be the result of an agreement reached within the context of international commerce, because lower tariff mean lower input costs for enterprise. This decision will undoubtedly have impact on coffee supply. Business will supply more as input price flows, shifting the supply curve to the right. The price of equilibrium will fall as the quantity of equilibrium reaches. The graph shows how this works. Transition from S to S1 on the curve. The Malaysian government is enforcing a policy that entails lowering taxes on import coffee. This policy will most favor Malaysians because importing coffee will be less impressive. This means that their profit increase and they begin to import even more coffee. They will lower their pricing to attract more people to buy their item as the supply grows. The supply curve clearly changes to the right as a result of this explanation. The equilibrium price will drop to encourage more people to buy their goods. Equilibrium quantity increases and there are more products being available in the market.
My name is Nona Bihaja binti Abdul Hamid. My metric number is 2021214758. In scenario 2, we know that the inter-equilibrium level at EO, which price, PO and quantity is same with QO. Suppose there is increase in consumer taste, therefore the demand for coffee will increase. The demand curve for coffee will shift to the right from DO to D1. You can see at the graph. As a result, price will increase from PO to P1, quantity increase from QO to Q1 and equilibrium at E1. For scenario 3, scenario 1 talks about reduction of input price which affects supplies. Scenario 2 talks about consumer preference which affect the demand. This one combines both of them since both curve or supply curve are affected. In the US, government reduced the tariff of import coffee, and the reputable study is published indicate the coffee drinker have lower rates of colon cancer. This will result on two fronts where demand is increasing and supply also increasing.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Siti Husna binti Hazin Salim. My student ID is 2021631984. I'm from class KAC 1101B. For course ECO162, I'm going to present some answers in part B. In part B, the market analysis demand and supply of goods. The goods that were chosen is surgical mask. Change in market factors that result in the shift of the supply curve of surgical masks are: first, change in the price of polypropylene, as polypropylene are the input resources for the good. Change in technology, for example, upgrading the surgical mask production machine. Imposition of taxes or subsidies by the government that affect the supply of the surgical mask. And lastly, change in the price of complementary such as the price of masking material or substitute products like fabric masks. Change in market factors that could affect the demand for surgical masks and shift the demand curve are: for the first one, change in the taste and preferences of the consumer, like different types of surgical mask design. Second, increase or decrease in the price of related goods. And last but not least, change in income level of the people will have a direct impact on demand for fabric masks, and fabric masks are one of the examples for noble goods category.
Hi, at here I want to state 5 factors that contributing in Malaysia property market. The first factor that is contributing to the increase in the price of property is the economic landscape. Impact that we can get from the factor is that the broader property market is set against a backdrop of economic condition. Positive economic circumstances not only make their people have money to spend, but also they have a more good mindset about large financial investment like real estate. Interest rates are one factor that can have a big impact on real estate transaction, as higher rates can make borrowing affordable for many people. Another factor is property market economy. The knowledge of free markets are supply and demand. It is the most basic economic principle. If people decide to buy something that is in short supply, price will rise. Price will fall if there is indeed a higher supply of a product that there have been people eager to buy it. Next, the location of a property plays an important role in the decision-making process of purchasers and investors as well as adding to its desirability. Whereas the placement of a current property is out of your hand, property buyers may make informed decisions on where to purchase new property, which can have a significant impact on house prices. A wonderful place to live is in a trading location with a good reputation, safe neighborhood, and plenty of amenities. New mass transportation connections such as LRT, MRT, or railway station can significantly increase property prices in the surrounding area. Besides that, furniture development can have a significant impact on current property prices, providing a fantastic change for value rise in the appropriate circumstance. The last one is property buyers want to know they are getting a good idea. Therefore, the more valuable your asset appears, the more likely you'll be able to sell it for a good price. This seems to be an area whereby you as a person can make a significant difference, and it shall be a major factor in any future property sale. If you reside in an apartment building with 15 flats for sale, then craftsmanship and selling care could be the difference between a sale and a loss. That's all from me about factors that contributing in Malaysia market.
Hi, I'm Akhil Zafira Ahmad Zairi. My matric number is 2021472678. I will continue for part C, question B, which is diagram for effect of all factors to the market equilibrium of the property industry. The price of property increase due to a rise in the cost, which is price. The supply curve will shift leftward and cause the equilibrium price to increase from P0 to P1. In addition, the equilibrium quantity will decrease from Q0 to Q1, while the new spot for the equilibrium will change from E0 to E1. Next is part C, question C, which is measure to control the price of property could be implemented by the government. Property price can be regulated by the government. Why should the government control the price? Yes, it is because the cost of some production might be expensive for either the buyer or the producer. That's why the government should set the price so the consumer and the producer will be treated equally. First, setting a limit price for raw material. Some manufacturers have leveraged a greater pricing to make a larger profit than normal, and this is one of the reasons why the product's price may rise over normal. It also creates a dilemma for customers who wish to purchase the good. When the government establishes a maximum price, the producer should set a new price for their item, and that is lower than the maximum. When the price of the raw material is low, demand for it, which is a raw material, rises, or we could say it as increase. Aside from that, the property's pricing may be regular, or should I say normal. Finally, The government should lower the output tax percentage. The producer raise the price of their goods due to the high manufacturing tax. This is because they want to keep their profit portion. When the government lowers the tax rate on production, the price of the product may fall or decrease as well. The producer also can still keep the same percentage of the profit. When a product's price is low, demand for the product may increase. In the end, the government may be able to regulate home prices.